If you have small or hooded eye shapes, you definitely have to watch this video. Welcome to today's video, friends. My name is Lisa. If you're new here to my channel, I'm a former makeup artist and MAC Cosmetics trainer, and I love teaching makeup. I say that because that is where my passion lies, in teaching makeup. And today I thought it would be fun to share some eyelining tips and tricks to use if you have smaller eye shapes, hooded eye shapes, or very almond eye shapes. I kind of fall into all three of those categories. So I thought I would show you just like the way to line your eyes so that your eyes appear larger than they actually are. So I have a fair amount of makeup on right now. My foundation, I have a little bit of eye makeup on to let you know what I've done on my eyes. I've applied a light shimmery like champagne pinky shade on my lid, and then I have applied a little bit of a crease shade, but I actually stopped, turned the camera on because I thought I would throw in this eyeshadow trick as well. Now, a couple of things when it comes to making your eyes appear larger than they are. If you have smaller or hooded eye shapes, you want to apply a lighter shade on the lid, and one that has a little bit of a sheen or shimmer is nice. The reason you do that is because lighter shades reflect light and they make a area appear larger than it is, and then a shimmer reflects light and it also makes things look like they're protruding a little bit. So if your eyes are hooded and you need that lid to stand out, working with a lighter shade and a shimmer or a sheen shade will help do that. Now, I have started to apply a crease shade, and you can see that it's really soft. It's just a little bit deeper than my natural skin tone, maybe 2 or 3 shades deeper, and it's matte. That is going to create more definition. Now, I want to tell you where you want to apply this shadow. So I'm just grabbing this little shadow from the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk Quad. I'm just grabbing a little bit on my BK Beauty brush. This actually is a brush that is in development, so it is not available for sale yet. Now, when you're doing your crease, it's really important that you don't like look down like this. You actually want to hold your mirror kind of directly in front of you. You want to relax your eyebrows. Sometimes we have a tendency to want to raise our brows when we go in with our crease because you want to get in there. You want to be able to find that. And if you do that, that's okay, but you just need to make sure that you also relax your brows so that you see how your eyes look when you are at natural rest. When you're just having a conversation with someone, looking them in the eye, you don't walk around like this, right? So if you just work on getting that color in that crease like this, once your eyebrows relax, it's gone, it's disappeared. So the idea is to start there, but also kind of have that color diffuse upward. That is going to create the illusion that your crease is higher than it actually is. So you might want to raise your brows a little bit to find your placement, but then you want to turn your brush upside down and let that color blend and diffuse upward a little bit. That is going to create that lifted eye look and make your crease, it's basically going to give you a crease a little bit higher. Okay, so now that you have your crease in, and I can't stress enough, you want to avoid lifting your brows too much, and you want to avoid tilting your head back, and you want to avoid doing this because you're going to get the placement all wrong. It's really important that you look directly into the mirror with a natural face. So now I have created this idea that my lid is much larger than it is. You see all this lightness, and then you see that deep crease above. That is not my eye shape, you guys. If I were to remove this makeup and look straight on, and you might be able to see it, my eyes are hooded. They're a little bit hooded. You know, there's different degrees of eyes, hooded eyes. Mine are definitely there. As I get a little bit older, my brows fall and it causes my upper lid to fall even more. But my eyes are hooded. They do not have this much lid space, even though it may appear that they do. Okay, so let's talk about eyeliner. Now, this is where I get really excited. Eyeliner is where we can really mess things up if we're not careful. If you don't have a lot of lid space that's visible, if you have hooded eyes or smaller eyes, you don't have a large lid space that's visible, so you don't want to take that real estate up with a thick, heavy eyeliner. Tightlining is your best friend. You need to master the skill of tightlining, and tightlining is a very simple makeup technique. It's not something that requires a lot of skill, but the trick is finding the right products that work. And I have tried so many products, and I have to say that my favorite pencil for tightlining is the Makeup Forever Aqua Resist Color Pencil. This is a waterproof pencil. You need to find something that's very soft and waxy and kohl-like and very rich in pigment. I cannot stress that enough. It's important that it's soft and rich in pigment, and the reason why is because you are going in under, your Tightlining is basically lining that area of skin right under your lashes. So it's a very sensitive area. So if you're using something that doesn't have rich color pigment, you're gonna have to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth just to get it to pay off, and your eyes will be so irritated. They will be red, they will water. It is not good. You also want something that's very soft so that, again, when you do one stroke, you get instant payoff and it's comfortable and it doesn't irritate the eyes. And you want something that's gonna wear all day. That is an area that touches the eye, so it will likely tear up, and you need something that's gonna last all day. I find that these pencils have really great wearing power, and they have rich pigment, and they're super soft. I just have the black one. I also like that you can self-sharpen these. You can just kind of roll it up to get more, you know, a bit more product. And the way that I like to tightline, if I were doing this, you know, in a mirror, I would gently like put my pinky on my lid and kind of lift up and work in there. Because I'm going to be hand holding my mirror, I'm just going to kind of tilt up and apply this. So tightlining is going to give the look of a really thick lash line. So you're going to get that enhanced eyeline look, but without taking up lid space. And you want to make sure that you go from furthest corner to inner corner. You don't want to leave, you don't want to stop halfway. You want to make sure that you get the entire line covered in liner. Okay, and I don't even need to go over twice, but I don't know if you can already tell the difference of the eye that has a tight line and the eye that doesn't. It's gonna make the lashes appear thicker. It's gonna make that lash line look more pronounced without having to line your lid. Now, not to say that you can't line above the lid. I'm gonna teach you a trick on that as well. I'm gonna go ahead and do the other eye, and then we'll talk about how to line the actual eyelid. This technique also is great for those of you that don't have very full lashes. I recently removed my lash extensions, and my lashes are in really poor shape. So if I don't tightline and I just put mascara, when you're looking at me, you can see like little pinks of space between my lashes. It was my skin where I'm missing lashes. So this really does a great job of filling that in and making things look very nice and full. So now that we have the tight line on my upper lash line, I am gonna go in and add a little bit of liner on my lid because I really like the way that that looks. You don't have to do this, especially if you have very hooded eyes where you don't see any of the lid. There's really no reason to do that because your lid will just, your upper lid will just cover that. But if you have some visible lid and you want to add a little bit of a liner, it's important that you line correctly. Now, I like to use both a pencil and I like to use a liquid pen. My favorite of the liquid pens is Tattoo Liner by KVD Beauty. I love this. It has a nice sharp felt tip that's very flexible, so it goes and glides on very easily. Because it has a nice fine tip, you can get a really fine, thin line, which is important. You want to make sure that you do that in this technique. Now, avoid going all the way in, especially, you know, for those of us with small eyes, you don't want to go all the way to the inner corner. I like to start about halfway on my lid, and then I just gently do little bitty strokes. Do you see how thin that is? Tiny little strokes. For me, I like doing little strokes because it gives me more control. If I try and get a perfect line in one, you know, one stroke, chances are I'm gonna mess part of it up. If I do little bitty lines, it kind of takes off that pressure, you know, and you're able to get something consistent. So I just like to do little bitty lines. Once I get to where my eyeliner starts to go down, instead of following my natural lash line, I'm actually gonna kind of go straight out. And now I'm creating a little bit of a baby wing. I'm not going up, I'm not pulling it up, I'm just kind of pulling it out versus down. Okay, so now we're left with that. Now what we need to do is we need to connect that to the bottom corner of our eye. So then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna kind of get the outer corner of my eye, and we are gonna gently kind of pull up to connect to that wing. Now we have a little bit of space that needs to be filled in. So because we tight lined all the way in the inner corner, there's really, again, I need to stress, no need to take your liner on your lid all the way over. That will very likely close up your eye, especially if you get too thick. So there's really no need to do it, just line the outer half. Now the next trick is something that I do in most of my videos. I love this little hack. I think this looks great for really all eye shapes, but especially hooded or smaller or almond eyes is lining the inner waterline on the lower lash line with a nude or brightening pencil. One of my favorites is the Inglot Kohl pencil. This one's really beautiful and rich in color. I don't know if Makeup Forever has one. I had that thought the other day that if Makeup Forever has one, I want to pick it up in the nude shade. You want to avoid it being too white though. You want it to be a little warm. You want it to have a little peachiness to it, a little pink, or even a little yellow. You just don't want it to look white. So I just do one little stroke. You don't want this to be too intense. If you go back and forth too much, it looks odd, so we don't want to do that. Now, I will say when you do this technique, it is important to line the lower lashes. With a darker liner, because you want to have that little bit of contrast. I think it looks a little strange if you don't. Now, I never line my lower lash line with black pencil. I think for my coloring, black is a little too harsh on my lower lash line, but I do love a beautiful, like rich chocolate brown shade, and I love it to have a little bit of shimmer, so more of a bronze. This one is by Pixi. It's the Endless Silky Eye Pen, and it's the shade Bronze Beam, and I'm pretty sure I've talked about this liner since I started my YouTube channel. I have loved it that long. This formula is very rich and creamy and soft. It glides on effortlessly. It blends out. It gives you a little time to smudge it and soften it, but once it dries, it sets in a good place. Now, I'm just going to, again, do the same technique of doing the outer half. So I'm gonna start on the outer corner, and I'm gonna bring it just over to about the middle of my lower lash line. Now, I always go over my lower eyeliner with a little bit of shadow just to set it in place, to keep it from transferring, and also to soften it a bit. And I'm just taking a brown shade. This is actually a new little palette I picked up. It's from Morphe. I don't really purchase a lot from Morphe, but I thought this color theme was beautiful. It's actually Jaclyn Hill, Divine Neutrals. And I mean, sometimes I use shimmer, sometimes I use matte. It really doesn't matter. I think today I'm going to use this one right here. It's like a really pretty shimmery amber brown. And we're just going to, it actually kind of matches the eyeliner perfectly. I'm just going to softly go right on top of that. Okay, perfect. So now we have the two eyes. So I haven't done this side. I'm going to do this next. I'm going to apply a little mascara so you can kind of see the difference, and then we'll go and apply the other eye. So that wraps up this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned at least one trick. If you did, let me know in the comment section below. Also, let me know any requests that you have. I really love these like specific teaching technique style videos. So anything else you want to learn as it relates to makeup, let me know in the comment section below. I will see you guys in my next video, and I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye.